Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out amidst the rain. If you stick around after this announcement, I'm happy to take a few questions about the weather. I have the latest updates on that, but I don't want that to detract from our announcement here today. Also, the commissioner sends his best. He's going to try and make it for the end of the press conference, but he is at a funeral and really had an obligation to go to that at this moment. The last year has been a year of great change for the Harrisburg Police Department. Among other things, I think the media is aware, but we rewrote our use of force policy for the HPD after an extensive public engagement over the theme 8 Can't Wait, which were the 8 best reforms for use of force policies throughout the country. We expanded our co-responder program in partnership with Dauphin County and the DA's office. That program is thriving. That consists of the ride-along with the mental health workers, which affects each of the platoons here in Harrisburg. And we created a new division, the Community Services Division, with a new captain who's joined us here, Captain Milo Hooper, as well as a new civilian director position, and we will be introducing Ms. Anna White here in just a moment, as well as 6 community service aides. We have room for 7, so we are still actively recruiting for the 7, but we have 6 that have joined us so far, and I'm going to introduce each of them in just a moment as well and tell you a little bit more about them. If there's one thing that I learned over the past year, it is that we live in a fractured community, and those divisions run deep, and if we're going to heal those divisions in Harrisburg, and I'm committed to doing my part to try and heal them, we need to create partnerships, and we need to go out of our comfort zone. And that means doing things that are sometimes uncomfortable for us, because the dialogue that needs to happen in Harrisburg is not meant to be an easy dialogue. It's not meant to be a comfortable dialogue. But through an honest exchange of emotions and feelings, we can come to a reconciliation. And we can heal the trauma that holds us back in this city. We're really pleased today to be introducing Anna White. And I want to give you a few biographical details about Anna. She goes by Anna. She's a Harrisburg native. She is a graduate of Harrisburg High, attended Denison, did a double major in educational studies and sociology, and she really brings a wealth of knowledge around topics of community policing, crisis management, public relations, strategic partnerships, and mental health. She has an extensive background in local community engagement and participation, including in her current role, most recently with Bro2Go. I've had a chance to work with her in that organization, and they do great work around youth and adult reentry, intervention, and prevention. She is bilingual, which brings a very important component to this job, and her role, I think, is going to highlight the city's ongoing efforts towards inclusion while also addressing community engagement through collective impact. Now, I want to say that I've known Anna for quite some time, and I've always been impressed by her energy, her passion, her insight, and her community connections. And in fact, over the past year, when the city was gripped in a very active debate about police reform and its meaning, Anna was one person who took the time to meet with me regularly. And we took walks in Riverfront Park, we met in the office, we discussed strategies, and we discussed ways that we thought we could work together to heal the trauma in Harrisburg and to help have those difficult conversations. And they're going to be difficult, but again, that's what we need if we're going to heal our city. So I have a little bit more to say, but I want to turn the microphone over to her and let her introduce herself to you, and then we will come back to me. So here is Ms. Anna White.
Good morning. Community safety is a priority for the city. We've seen and heard the difficulties in bringing in police to safely secure our city and what that means for the officers and how important that is. And we've also heard from citizens. Citizens who, much like myself, are no strangers to honest and difficult conversation and discussions with mixed emotions based off of lived experiences. Locally, we've seen the results of those concerns on both sides, with citizens demanding a system that provides a sense of community safety and the frustrations of units struggling to recruit enough quality officers to deliver that as they desired. I'm excited for the opportunity to engage with both law enforcement and citizens to work towards the necessary goals of creating and maintaining safe streets while protecting and honoring our communities. I look forward to extending myself to all parties of council currently working on these similar goals and serving under Captain Hooper and his progressive vision towards this city's advancements. Community engagement requires trust, accountability, humility, forgiveness, and growth. And I look forward to our team dismantling where necessary and building and strengthening where it's needed. I'm excited for the team and our attempts at proving that we are capable of showcasing the best that this city has to offer. Thank you.
Wonderful, Anna, and thank you. And we are excited to have you join us. And the primary responsibility of this position is the supervision of the community service aides. And I wanted to let you all know that former Director Blake Lynch, when he was here, worked very closely with myself and Captain Hooper in doing extensive interviews. We had, I believe, over 200 applications, serious applications for this position. There were scores of interviews. There was a lot of interest, a lot of public conversation, and it came down to a series of finalists. And I was able to participate along with several council members, and we interviewed each of the people here and came to the conclusion that these were really the finest applicants that the pool had to offer, and that would bring a lot to the city. So I wanted to introduce them to you. You heard that we'd hired them, but maybe you haven't seen them. And for the past couple of weeks, they have been tirelessly sort of getting to know people, and both in the community and in the city, and really getting their feet wet in the beginning stages of the relationship building that's going to be so important. But they now have a new leader and supervisor in Anna White, and this is going to be a coherent and exciting team that brings a lot to the table. And I think you'll get a sense of that as I just tell you briefly about each of them. So as I mentioned your name, guys, if you could step forward, and we're going to start with Rayshawn. So Rayshawn Brown Donald was born in Harrisburg, and he graduated from Steelton High Spire in 2015, and after graduating high school, he attended HAC, and he majored in business in HAC. And Rayshawn is one of two of the community service aides that has been employed with the city prior to becoming a community service aide. He actually served as a parking enforcement officer for the city, not for SP Plus, but for the city, before transferring to the Community Services Division. A great background and experience for him in getting to know the neighborhoods and the community even better. And with his local connections, he's going to serve this division very well. So Rayshawn, welcome aboard, and thank you for being a part of the team. Next, we have, in no particular order, we have Myron T. Brooks II, also born and raised in Harrisburg, and graduate of Harrisburg High. At Harrisburg High, he was part of the school newspaper and the student council. And in 2009, Myron began working for the Harrisburg City School District as a teacher's aide over at Melrose Elementary. And then has also worked in support programs at Harrisburg High. He received an associate's degree in criminal justice at Brightwood Career Institute, and eventually had a position working in the Central Dauphin District. He's currently getting a degree online in business leadership and organization at Messiah, and he's a football coach for the Central Dauphin Youth Rams football organization. That is a lot of information. Family man, he's got 5 boys, 2 girls, and Myron, welcome aboard and all the experience that you bring to the team. Sierra Van Sickler is a native of Dillsburg, and she has the distinction of having interned here at the Harrisburg Bureau of Police where she got to know the department before deciding that she wanted to take it one step further and serve the community as a community service aide. She has the distinction of being an EMT for Lifeline EMS, and is currently pursuing a master's degree in Homeland Security from Penn State. And that follows 2 bachelor's degrees, one in English and another in criminal justice from the University of Kentucky and from Bloomsburg, respectively. And she is really looking forward to continuing to get to know the people of this city better and building strong relationships. So, Sierra, welcome. And I'm glad that the internship has paid off. Next, we have Vanessa Bowers. From Steelton, our neighbor here, but residing now in Harrisburg. Prior to Vanessa's community service aides position, she worked in vehicle collision and fraud investigation, as well as having worked as an elected constable. Vanessa is currently pursuing her criminal justice degree and has 3 sons, and is looking forward to continuing to develop these relationships and partners and to become that sort of positive liaison for those difficult conversations that we talked about. So, Vanessa, welcome. And Malachi, if you could step forward. Malachi Holmes, born, again, in Harrisburg, graduated from Central Dauphin High pretty recently, back in 2014, and has been working for the Harrisburg School District in special ed. So, particular interest there. I think you've been there for about five years. You've also worked with the Boys and Girls Club on Berry Hill Street. You're happily married with several children. You also are a football coach, and you coach football at East Pennsboro High School. So that's exciting. We can run a good youth sports program with this team. Thanks. Welcome, Malachi. And then finally, but last but certainly not least, we have Jarrett Spears, also born in Harrisburg, graduate of Harrisburg High. And has experience working in the school district as a truancy officer. And he has been with us as well. So he's the other one of the 6 who comes from within city service and started your service as a park ranger, where you served very admirably, patrolling our parks and playgrounds and building relationships with the community. And now you're taking it one step further to join this new community services division and become a part of the team. So that's our 6. It's a great group. As I say, we're not done. There's room for more. There's room for growth. And we're currently recruiting for that last position. But we wanted to get off and running, and we wanted to make sure that we engaged in the type of training and learning activities that have been going on for the past several weeks. Now we can take some questions. If you'd like to know a little bit more about the program, Captain Hooper is also available to talk towards that. Anna White is available to talk towards that. And again, I feel it's a very, very exciting day for Harrisburg because it gives us an opportunity to really relaunch the program with all of the positive, creative energy and experiences you see behind us. And we will also make ourselves available for future ride-alongs and partnerships with the media so you can get a better sense of what the Community Service Division is doing as we move forward. So, thank you all. I will start with some questions about this, and then if you want to talk weather, we can move to that. Any questions for me, or for Anna, or perhaps Captain Hooper?
So I think I heard you say, what are some tangible ways to engage community and... Okay. So in order to bridge the gap, we have to be able to identify where we stand in those spaces of deficit. So communication and being able to understand where we are and where the fragments are, how we got to be there, and then working towards feasible and viable ways to connect everyone, right? So this includes conversation, and I cannot stress enough how conversations need to occur, authentic ones, right? And being able to understand what has happened, being able to understand where we all want to be, and everyone doing what's necessary to getting us into that position where we can get there. So I think it's dialogue. I think it's programming that utilizes the best of both citizens and law enforcement and communities, and then seeing how we can utilize all of those different aspects to move us forward in a positive direction. So it's not necessarily just programming. There's a lot of ways in which discussion itself can be powerful. So first, I do want to honor the idea that this has already been existing before I got here. So just connecting with Captain Hooper to see what their vision has already been, and certainly honoring those things that are worthwhile. So I think I have a better aspect of where we need to go once I know that. But I had stated before that trauma-informed care is really what I am vested in. So things that address the trauma that we are experiencing in the community and trying to get some programming around that and some positive ways to dialogue around that. So whether that's town halls, activities, bringing in children, bringing in businesses, collaborating in that way, that's what I look forward to doing. Not having the technical definition in front of me, I will just say that trauma is any type of disconnect, emotional, physical disconnect that has occurred that has long-standing impact on people, community, and systems. Specifically in Harrisburg, we're no stranger to the idea, right? We do know that there is several disparities that prevent mental health stability in the area, whether that's through lack of funding, et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about the idea of trauma, it's what has been something that is so impactful that has probably caused negative reactions to it. So post-traumatic stress and all of the different trauma that comes from people just existing, on top of what are the systemic things that have caused traumatic experiences in people's lives. So the idea of trauma is not necessarily just mental health or just something that has particularly happened in silos. It is the ongoing process of disparities that has caused fraction and friction in the community. So that's what we'll be focusing on, dialogue and programming around that. Because if you can talk about that, then you can talk about solutions. And what we know is that we want to bring recruitment to the area. We want law enforcement that is engaged, and we want citizens that are also engaged. But we have to have those conversations with all of those different systems in order to collaborate for results. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was a great answer. And, the causes of trauma are vast, and there are some aspects of trauma which are systemic. Racism, poverty, there are other aspects which are really unique to Harrisburg. I would argue we suffer from a political trauma that was caused by 28 years of a mayor that really consolidated power and was not about a sort of bottom-up community building. And we still suffer from the legacy of that. We have educational trauma in that generations of our students have had to deal with a school district that is underperformed in certain ways, and it is certainly in the midst of efforts at rejuvenation and reform currently. So these are the divisions that we talk about. When we talk about a fractured city, boy, we have a fractured city, and it's our job as a division to try and heal that, but you can't heal it unless you're being honest and genuine. This is not about PR. This is about real down-to-earth conversations that can make people uncomfortable. And frankly, the conversation has to occur on both ends. It's not just a conversation that the community has to have. It's also a conversation that the police department has to have and is willing to have and is engaging in. And as we create spaces where we can have that dialogue, I like to think that my relationship with Anna sort of is modeling what that dialogue could be. We've disagreed, we've had vigorous conversations, we're trying to move forward together in partnership. And that's what Harrisburg needs, that's what I think we all need in order to make the city successful.
First of all, good morning. I know you wanted to speak on the training process with the new community service aides. First thing we had to do is kind of get to know each other. That's actually a portion of training. So once we kind of got to know each other, and I learned a lot about these six and about their passion for this community, and about their passion for what their vision on what they want done. So once we understood that, we started taking routes in speaking with the different departments in the city. having kind of orientations with each department. Because with this program, a lot of times people are kind of, when I talk to people, they're kind of making it about police and the civilians. This is about everything. This is about, as Anna said, bridging the gap. There's multiple gaps. Like, I mean, everywhere you go, sometimes you'll come across a stream, sometimes it's a river, sometimes it's an ocean. It depends. So we have to know the different departments. So, for instance, we were out not too long ago, the CSAs were out not too long ago, and met with a young lady who had issues with trash. So if they hadn't met with these departments, they wouldn't have known where to direct this individual. So there's some radio training. There's just training, ride-alongs, just kind of getting familiar with the police themselves, kind of understanding how the police operate. It's kind of like an on-the-go training. It's not like your traditional training when you think of, okay, you got to come in here, let's sit in the classroom, and you do A, B, and C. It's kind of like police work. Police work is not about A, B, and C. Police work is understanding A, B, and C, not just knowing it. It's understanding what do I do and how do I maneuver around A, B, and C. And so that's kind of what they have to do. So their training has been going on. They have been here for approximately 1 month. The very first thing they did for training actually was National Night Out. It gave them the ability to understand and start to communicate with the civilians and understand and see how programs come together, because some of them were involved in some of the behind the scenes on that. Understanding what some of the service portion of this job is going to be about. So there's just, I can't just sit here and label training for you, but it's about understanding what the community needs and understanding how to deal with that.
That was a great answer, and you spoke earlier today at an event where we were about the motto Protect and Serve, and how service is really at the core of the mission here. And that's why we have a division that is on equal footing with any other division in the department and is focused on service. And we're fortunate to have individuals, both aides and directors and captains, who are committed to that call to service. And we can do so much. But sometimes the gulf in Harrisburg is just that people don't understand how government works, how city services function, what people's jobs are, what they're able to do. And so learning all of that is going to help make these individuals effective liaisons with the community.